with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good day, and thank you for joining me on my podcast, Think About It with Jaden Miller. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm going to talk about a topic that really bothers me, and I'm sure as I get into this, it is probably one that bothers you as well. So we'll talk about this in just a minute. I do have to remind you to please like and share and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. I'm on most of them: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Castbox, SoundCloud, and a few others. So whatever is your favorite podcast platform, please join me. I want it to be somewhat interactive. I mean, of course, on a podcast, it's usually just the host or a host and a guest. But you do have the opportunity to share and comment. So feel free to do so. So this topic that I want to talk about is called colorism. And I'll be brief tonight. But colorism is the practice of favoring lighter skin over darker skin. The preference for lighter skin can be seen within any racial or ethnic background. So when we talk about colorism, we're not talking about racism, okay? Racism is believing one's race is superior to another, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about within a specific racial or ethnic group, people are mistreated, discriminated against simply because their skin color is darker than someone else's. Now, you know, in 2021, we can say that, isn't this absolutely ridiculous that we still base a person's intelligence, their worthiness on whether or not their skin color is darker or lighter. The thing about it is that when we talk about colorism is not unique to one specific race or ethnic group. For example, you know, due to slavery and the impacts on it, during the enslavement of black people, those with lighter skin tones, usually they were the children of a slave and their master, they received preferential treatment. So if you look at it from an African American perspective, during slavery, you had the field Negro and then you had the house Negro. And the field Negro was usually the darker skinned, the darker complected blacks that worked out in the field. They did the tilling and they did the all of the farm work and that kind of stuff. But then the lighter skinned blacks tended to be in the house. They may have been the cooks or the servants or something like that. And one of the reasons for this favoritism is because black people with lighter skin have more European features and a closer proximity to whiteness. All right. We know that historically lighter-skinned aristocratic blacks engaged in opportunity hoarding practices to keep darker-skinned poor blacks from their social networks. All right. So, you know, even within racial groups, this kind of silliness went on and still goes on. All right. So again, in the black community, you have the light skin versus the black skin. And then we had all of these little sayings, okay? You know, if you yellow, you're mellow. If you brown, stick around. If you black, get back. You know, but then, you know, darker skinned blacks would fight back and say, well, you know, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Okay. So this kind of silliness, and I call it exactly what it is, this silliness, was pervasive, certainly during and after slavery. And even though, you know, we have grown as a community since then, and it's lesser in terms of this type of discrimination than it was many years ago. It still exists. It still exists. But it's not just in the African American community. So, I mean, if we look at India, all right, in India, which has a caste system, okay, well, the lighter skinned Indians, all right, are preferred over the darker skinned Indians. If you ever have either been to India or you have known or had Indian friends, you can see, just like you can in the black community, the differences in skin tones. I mean, we all may still be African American, or we all may still be Indian, but the skin tones from lighter to darker are phenomenal. There are some dark skinned Indians, okay, blacker or darker than African Americans here in the United States, all right? Or if you want to even talk about Africa, darker than some that are in Africa, all right? And if you watch certain television shows, or specifically I'm talking about Bollywood, you'll see that the media portrays lighter skinned families in advertisements and TV shows, and Bollywood favors lighter skinned actresses, okay? And they create this inaccurate ideal for Indians, which, you know, certainly is so unfair, all right? And so, you know, colorism within the Indian community, you know, you'll hear comments from Indian relatives or acquaintances. They'll say the bride is pretty but dark. Oh, she's so beautiful and fair, and she's so dark. Hopefully the baby won't be as dark. Okay, that kind of stuff, you know, is pervasive in their community. And then, of course, there's colorism in Asia, okay? And I'm specifically talking about in Korea, all right? And what people will do, they will go to ends of length, okay? Or length in, however you say that, to bleach their skin so that they are lighter. Skin bleaching is a $10 billion industry. Okay. So if we look around the world, upwards of 77% of women in Nigeria bleach their skin, while 40% of women in China, Malaysia, the Philippines, and the Republic of Korea have admitted to using skin lightening products. So what's happening is, and I want you to think about it with me, what's happening is people feel worth with lighter skin and associate white skin with power, beauty, and privilege. The lighter they are, the closer they are to value. And that's how white supremacy works. That's why colorism is a form of internalized racism. All right. So what I used to do when I taught American government is I would talk about the ignorance that is very pervasive in the world, very pervasive here in the United States when it comes to skin tone, okay? And the reason why I say it's really silly is because we love things that have color. Let's flesh this out a little bit, okay? So, for example, you know, we have cats and dogs, and some of us like dark dog or black dogs or brown dogs or golden colored dogs, or, you know, golden retrievers that might have more of a reddish color fur. We have no problem with color when it comes to animals. Think about it. We have no problem when it comes to color, when it comes to our vehicles or what we wear. We don't have any problems when it comes to that. But it seems like people have a problem with another person's skin complexion, you know? And if we look at us in terms of mammals, because we are mammals, or if we look at us in terms of just the hierarchy of the animal kingdom, and if we look at it scientifically, humans are at the top of the chain, but as human beings, we can be so dogged. We can be so ridiculous when it comes to something as simple as your skin complexion is lighter than mine, or your skin complexion is darker than mine, and that means something, okay, other than what it is, okay? Think about it. In this country, we have favored people simply because their skin complexion is lighter, thinking that because it's lighter, that must mean that they are smarter, more intelligent, have more money. There used to be a joke in the black community that black people wouldn't buy water from darker skinned black people because a lighter skinned person or a white person's water tastes better, or their water is colder, if it has ice in it, than a darker skinned person's water with ice in it. Isn't that ridiculous? So that's what we're talking today. We're talking about colorism, and we're talking about the ridiculousness of it. This is Jaden Miller. You're on my podcast, Think About It with Jaden Miller. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And please like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. All right. So I want you to think about it. After centuries of being conditioned to view white European as superior in their own race and culture as inferior, many people were broken and eventually believed in and acted according to that dichotomy. It's under those conditions that people of varying races came to view European ancestry and European phenotypes as superior to all else and as a means to a better life. Or in some cases, lighter skin meant that you did not have to toil long hours in the sun as a slave, and that you were a noble superior to those that slaved away. All right. And as I talk about colorism in the African American community or in India, colorism fuels the notion that lighter skinned Asians, if we go back to Asians, or lighter skinned people in general, all right, are better than their darker skinned counterparts. Colorism causes a person of darker skin to think this: if everyone is telling me that my skin color is wrong, then I must be the problem. What's to stop them from thinking that they need to bleach their skin to become better? Colorism is so incredibly damaging. And in an industry as fixated on looks as the Korean entertainment industry, their shortcomings are only magnified in the comments deemed as harmless. We've got to change this, folks. I remember there's a great baseball player that I used to love. Played for the Chicago Cubs, my favorite baseball team, by the way. Sammy Sosa. All right. You guys should look up Sammy Sosa. Google him, and you'll see how this great baseball player, retired baseball player, who was from the Dominican Republic, all right, was a dark-skinned person, but yet he used some skin lightening products to turn himself into almost a ghost. I mean, he looked absolutely ridiculous, okay? You're born with the skin you're in. Get used to it, all right? So, really, the moral of the story is treat people with kindness and respect, regardless of what they look like, okay? Whether their skin is lighter or darker, that really doesn't matter. And it's not just in Asian communities or Indian communities or African American communities. This is pervasive in Latino communities as well. Ask Mexicans, about their skin complexion, and there are those that are lighter complected and those that are darker complected, and they'll tell you that skin complexion is and how people respond to it and how people just dwell on it is pervasive in the Latino community as well. All right. But then also it's pervasive in the white community, just on a lower level. Okay. You know, there was a time in the white community, if you were a little more olive complexion, okay? Ask some Italians, okay, or some Sicilians, and they'll tell you how they've been discriminated against simply because their white skin, their Caucasianness is a little darker than maybe someone from another European country. So again, this silliness, this ridiculousness transcends all races and nationalities in certainly different countries. But to be fair, it stems from European colonialism. And let's just be fair. I mean, that's historical. People get this stuff, simply because, European countries invaded, colonized, darker skinned countries or darker skinned people, and caused them to believe, all right, that because of military might, that also meant intelligence in terms of race, that it meant that, because I had all of this power, that must mean that I'm better. And so this is something that has transcended, centuries, and something that really, really, hopefully will end at some point. So again, it's not just something that happens in the black community, the whole light skin versus dark skin issue. It still happens, okay? Just a little differently. One of the things that I like to say, or I used to like to say to my classes when I taught, is that as we as a country get or move away from those that, are so much older and younger people start taking over, that they are so much more accepting of other people. I would like to really, truly believe that. And so from my generation, when, people were so concerned about, you being light complected or, whether you were too dark and all of the kind of stuff, a lot of that is starting to disappear now, which is a great thing. All right. At least the negativity surrounding it. It still exists as an issue, but it certainly is getting much better. And I hope that this is going to be the case in countries such as India, where it is just absolutely ridiculous. They've got skin lightening products in India called Fair and Lovely and Pond's White Beauty and Lotus Herbal's White Glow. And just in India, okay, they say that this skin whitening or skin lightening business will be worth $24 billion just in the nation of India. So Indian society has been primed for years with the notion that fairer skin is simply better. It means you're more attractive, a more desirable spouse, and even a more sought out employee or leader. All right. Again, just really, really sad that the world has come to the point where we judge people, not by racism, okay, which we know what that is, but by within our own racial groups or our own ethnic groups, that we discriminate against each other because our skin color might be darker. All right. Well, this is Jaden Miller. I just wanted to share that with you. That was something that's been on my mind, and I just wanted to talk about the ridiculousness of it and how I hope that as a society, we begin to move beyond looking at people just simply because of their color of their skin. I mean, it's absolutely, I mean, we like parakeets, we like parrots, they're different colors, right? So, if a dog is white, has white fur, and a dog has black fur, so does that mean that the dog with the blacker fur is less, intelligent in terms of dogs than the white one? I mean, think about it. It's so ridiculous. It truly is ridiculous. Aren't there some beautiful black dogs? Some of you all probably own them. Aren't there some beautiful dogs with white fur or brown fur or copper colored fur? Don't you love them? So then again, I ask the question, what is it that human beings, what is within us, us with this higher intellect, on the animal kingdom scale? Why then are we so stupid? All right, that's it. That's me signing off. Jaden Miller. Think about it with Jalen Miller. I thank you guys for joining me today. Don't forget, I drop new episodes every Sunday and Wednesday. All right. We're coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday very, very soon. So my next episode will be on Sunday. And then I will take us into the Thanksgiving week with a new episode. So thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time on Think About It with Jaden Miller. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.